So the basic problem that we have with Trump is that he can't name the actual problem. He, if you watch him carefully, he'll talk about this, he'll talk about that, he'll blame Joe Biden, he'll blame this and the other thing, but he never says Putin is the aggressor, which is what he has to say. And like, so yesterday he was saying this about Zelensky. He's asked about, what's going to happen here.
Have you spoken to President Zelensky, sir, about his offer to purchase more Patriot missile batteries?
Oh, I don't know. He's always looking to purchase missiles. He's against. Listen, when you start a war, you got to know that you can win the war, right? You don't start a war against somebody that's 20 times your size.
Okay, so he's always looking to purchase missiles, well, of course, because remember famously, I need ammunition, not a ride, right? I mean, that's where he was. He was invaded, so he needed this. And when you start a war, he didn't start the war. Let's talk honestly about what's actually happening. Zelensky didn't cause this to start. That's not what was happening. And so when you get that wrong, you're in a starting place that's going to lead you to wrong conclusions. Okay, here, the war between Russia and Ukraine, this is what Trump put out here, and I'm probably going to talk about this tonight in my three big stories as well. But the war between Russia and Ukraine is Biden's war, not mine. I just got here, he says. Like, wait, no, you've been around long enough to see this. I just got here, and for 4 years during my term, had no problem in preventing it from happening. President Putin and everyone else respected your president. Look, this is not about you. This is about what Putin has done. And you can't even really talk about Putin being the cause of this thing. I had nothing to do with this war. I just love the way that you artfully dodge responsibility. But you have been responsible for it since January 20th. Okay, I'm working diligently to get to the death and the destruction of the stop. If the 2020 presidential election was not rigged, and it was in so many ways, that horrible war would never have happened. President Zelensky and crooked Joe Biden did an absolutely horrible job in allowing this travesty to begin. Why can't you name Putin? Putin's the problem. There were so many ways of preventing it from ever starting, but that's the past. We have to get it to stop and fast. Okay, so he's misdiagnosing the cause, and so you're going to have some problems with that. So as I was thinking about this, I stumbled across this economist. His name is Andrei Ilavranov. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. So Andrei, I'll just call him Andrei from this point forward. He's got it right. He diagnoses the problems well. First, President Trump must learn basic lessons of today. President Zelensky and crooked Joe Biden did an absolutely horrible job in allowing this travesty to begin. But really, is that the cause? I mean, that's what Trump is saying. But is that the cause? Okay, so first, one, this is not a war between Russia and Ukraine. Let's start with that. It's not. I mean, those are the two combatants, but it's a war of aggression from Russia to Ukraine. And until we get that into our minds and we stop saying, well, I want both sides to stop. I want, both the killing on both sides. It's horrible what's happening. No. Yeah, I want the aggressor to stop. Like saying to the defender this morning, I showed you this image of a soldier and he had a patch on his arm from his child that said like something like "Dad's my hero" or something along those lines. If you tell that dad who's defending his family to stop, you're nuts. Right? Tell the aggressor to stop. You don't say if there's a fight between someone who's broken into your house and the cop doesn't come and say, you know what, you got to stop fighting with him too, because that's kind of what we're doing. And it's bizarre. This is Russia's aggression against Ukraine. More to the point, I was on a podcast of video with Anna from Ukraine, and I think Yulia. And Anna made this great observation that, you should call this the Russia, Iranian, North Korean, Chinese war against Ukraine. There's something to that. There's something really right about that. It's part of Putin's global war against Europe, the United States, and the free world. And if you don't think it's already there, it's a hybrid war, an information war against all those entities. Okay, number two, this is Putin's war. You got to come out and say it. And this should just become the hashtag, Putin's war. I mean, that's what it is. Remember it and repeat it. This is Putin's war. It's not about sleepy Joe Biden. He's old news. It's not about Zelensky as much as he's a player right now. This is Putin's war. Zelensky didn't start it. Number 3, you might call it Biden's war prior to January 20, 2025. But since January 20, 2025, it's Trump's war. That's good clarity, right? You own it now because you've been elected and you have been inaugurated. It's now something that you have to contend with. It's not Biden's war. Okay, number 4, to stop Putin's aggression against Ukraine was a candidate Trump's promise. 24 hours, even before January 20th, 2025, he said. U.S. President Trump failed to deliver on his promise for almost 3 months now. Okay, now, he never speaks with precision, and we all know that. He was saying that part of a election campaign. But yeah, you know what? We should be reminding you of that. Hey, you were supposed to stop this, and you haven't been able to. Why haven't you been able to? Well, if you look at why you haven't been able to, the impediment is Putin, and he's not willing to say Putin. It's bizarre why he's not willing to say Putin. Putin is not a legitimate Russian president. Wow. I like this guy. I don't know anything about him other than that he's an economist, but I like this guy because he's getting it. He's cutting right through to the clarity. We talk about how Zelensky is a dictator or not a legitimate president because he hasn't had an election. Putin's elections were rigged. The whole world knows this. Even Russians know this, but okay. Number 6, Putin does not respect Trump. Putin is not afraid of Trump. And Trump has this bizarre idea that Putin's his friend or buddy or something, and they can just make a deal and everything's going to be okay. Putin's not your friend. Number 7, blaming victim of aggression for allowing aggression is amoral and abhorrent. I think he means immoral. It's not. It's beyond amoral. It is immoral to blame the victim for the victimizer's actions. Okay. Number 8, the horrible war is allowed to continue after January 20th, 2025 because President Trump failed to deliver on his campaign promise of peace through strength. That's right. If he was actually offering the world peace through strength, this would be old news by now. Right? What happened to all those promises that were out there about, and if you don't come to the table, this is going to happen? Nothing has happened. We're 2 months into we're into the second month now of Putin not coming to the table when Zelensky's willing. Okay, number 9, instead, President Trump has chosen a different path, peace through capitulation. Wow, that's almost painful to hear, but that seems to be what Witkoff was offering. Number 10. There is still a way to stop this war. Do exactly what candidate Trump promised during his campaign. Give Ukraine a lot of military aid. Give Ukraine all necessary anti-air and anti-missile defense. Give Ukraine long-range missile to deprive the aggressor from impunity. Invite Ukraine into the military alliance of free nations. Allow Ukraine to retain its weapons of mass destruction lost because of U.S. pressure. Warn Putin that he must do it in 24 hours, and if he doesn't want to see those powerful machines come to bear, yeah, and he's not doing it. And if Putin doesn't comply, fulfill your promises. But he won't do it, and he won't even name the aggressor. Now, that was interesting, right? Okay, so I want to show you this before I show you the next thing. Okay, Zelensky, when they froze our aid, they told us it would be unlocked if Ukraine agreed to unconditional ceasefire. Okay, and they did. They agreed. Let's come to the table. They blocked our aid, and then they offered us a ceasefire, but nothing was blocked for the Russians. Why the double standard? Why not block what's going to Vladimir Putin? Okay. Now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, and I appreciate that Michelson is saying, I don't believe that Putin is controlling Trump in some weird conspiracy way. And I agree with much of what he said, though, until he gets to the very end, and then he just kind of blows up whatever bridges he might have been building with the other side. When I say the other side, I mean with conservatives who could have gotten along with this kind of thing. Just listen to what he has to say.
I don't believe that that Putin is controlling Trump in some weird conspiracy way. But if I were Putin and I were controlling Trump, it's hard to find something that he's done that I wouldn't support, right? I would want to alienate our allies. I would want to devastate our position as kind of economic dominance. I would want to weaken the U.S. bond market. I would want to ensure that our allies can't rely on us.
Okay, this guy on the left is the conservative at the table, and there's nothing really he can argue with so far. Just watch his reaction at the end when he calls Trump a dictator, though, and then it kind of breaks all the momentum.
Including cutting off USAID and all of the other ways in which soft power used to be exercised. So again, I'm not alleging a conspiracy, but it's quite a confluence of interests between the dictator of Russia and the dictator here.
He's also,
See the reaction here?
I mean,
Yeah, the dictator here. No, like, just be kind and set the best face on things. Trump has made what seems to be some boneheaded economic decisions here, and it's all playing into Putin's favor. I don't see a conspiracy either, but it certainly seems to have been helping Putin. Okay, last little bit by Darth Putin. According to the Donald, the war between Biden's fault. The war is Biden's fault because he was president of the United States when it started. The Palm Sunday massacre was also Biden's fault, even though he was not president of the United States when it happened. That's interesting, isn't it? I feel like I built a lot of dendrites today reading these comments. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the likes, the shares, and the subscribes. And thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.